Cold steel shovel handle care. As you may notice, these three handles are different colors. And the reason is vegetable oil. Doesn't matter what type, any type works for me. What I've done with this one is the most instantaneous handle care or modification that you can do. And what I did there was I took a knife blade, I scraped a little bit of the varnish off of the handle all around, not all of it, just, you know, a row here, a row here, a row here, all around. And then I took a saw blade and I roughed it up and scratched it up a little bit as well. And then I put oil on it, and the oil soaked into the saw scratches and into the knife strokes that took off strips of the varnish. And that made it nice and grippy so that it's got a really good grip. The ball also gives it a really good grip in that if you're holding tight enough here, the ball is not going to slip out of your hand, even if the handle is very slippery. But when you get the shovel, the handle is very slippery. Now this is the fastest and the roughest way that I figured out how to make the handle have a good grip. But this works very similarly, it just takes longer. And what I had to do here was I had to soak this in vegetable oil. I put it like that inside of a jar around it, and I put vegetable oil in the bottom of the jar, and I just soaked it there for months, all winter long. And every once in a while I'd come in, I'd unscrew the handle, I'd take the handle out of the blade, and I'd put oil all over the handle, including on the varnish. This part here is not varnished. Underneath here is not varnished. The varnish starts right here and goes up the handle. And then the tip here is not varnished either. It's cross-cut so that the oil can soak into the wood more easily because it has more surface area, or at least I assume that's the reason for it, else I don't know why they do it. And you just leave it soaking in the oil, and you oil the outside every, few weeks or few months, all winter long. Come spring, your shovel is ready to use. The varnish is no longer nearly as slippery. It's got a nice sort of sticky grip to it because some of the oil soaked into the varnish and some of the oil merged with the varnish and dried there and made it sticky. And you can see now the color of the wood, it's much darker, especially where it's had the most oil at the tip, much, much darker compared to, say, here at the back, where it was furthest away from the oil it was soaking in and only got the libations on the surface. And here we have a shovel that's received the least oil. It still has been oiled slightly. I left it soaking for maybe a few weeks to a month, but it hasn't absorbed that much, and the wood is still very light. Both of these other shovels started out with light wood, just like this one. But this one has had less oil. And the other thing is, this one came with a sheath. And because it came with a sheath, which has metal little protective things around the edges, they were able to sharpen it much sharper than the ones that came without the sheath. So these cold steel shovels are very good shovels. There's really only two things I would change about them. I think right off the bat, if I could redesign them just slightly, I would have this enamel paint or epoxy or whatever this is, I would have this be vitreous enamel instead. If that's possible without altering the hardness or properties of the steel of the shovel. I would have this coating be vitreous enamel so that it's safe to cook on and just less likely to pollute nature with microplastics. And I would have the varnish on the handle replaced with a vegetable oil and vegetable wax. Just dip it once in the vegetable oil and then dip it once in the vegetable wax and you're done. Basically, in terms of industrial processing, that's how I do it, and that just means a little bit less plastic in the environment and a little bit higher quality product. But this is pretty much the best short shovel that I can find, short of an antique or something custom made by a blacksmith. The two screws in the handle are really important because a lot of shovels have rivets, and those are harder to replace in the field. Because the great things about screws is you can take them off really easily and non-destructively. You can put in a shorter or a longer handle, and then you can put the old handle back when you're done playing around with the custom handle. You can even take the handle off entirely and literally just use the blade of the shovel as a super short digging tool. But you don't get a lot of leverage or strength that way, obviously, so eventually you're going to want your handle back. And it's pretty much the perfect size and the perfect tool for digging a nice deep hole for shelter or any other reason. Anyway, that's my cold steel shovel handle care and review, and I'll be signing off now. Goodbye.